The massive holographic projection of High Commander Vexthor materialized above every major city on Earth, his crystalline form refracting sunlight in a display that would have been beautiful if not for its ominous purpose. The Galactic Empire's flagship, the Eternal Dawn, hung in geosynchronous orbit above New York, its 100-kilometer length casting a shadow that turned day into twilight. Director Elena Santos of the United Earth Defense Force stood in the central command bunker beneath Geneva, her expression betraying nothing as she watched the alien transmission. Around her, the combined military and civilian leadership of Earth maintained similar composure. They had prepared for this moment for decades. People of Earth. Vexthor's voice resonated through every communication device on the planet, automatically translated into all languages. Your world has been chosen to receive the blessing of the Galactic Empire. For 50,000 cycles, we have brought order and prosperity to the galaxy. Your resources and potential have caught our attention. Provide us with 30% of your planetary materials and submit to our guidance, and you shall be elevated to join our grand civilization. Elena allowed herself a small smile as she noted the confusion flickering across Vexthor's crystalline features when no panic ensued, when no leaders immediately responded with terrified acquiescence. The humans in the command center remained silent, following the carefully choreographed plan they had refined over 20 years of preparation. The Galarians hadn't been as stealthy as they thought. Earth had detected their probe ships decades ago, had watched and learned as they studied humanity's apparent technological level. What they didn't know was that humans had also been studying them, through means so unconventional that the Galarians' advanced sensors had never detected Earth's observation posts hidden in dimensional folds throughout their empire. Your silence is unexpected, Vexthor continued, a hint of uncertainty in his resonant voice. Perhaps a demonstration of our power would help you understand your situation. One of the smaller Galarian vessels moved into position above the uninhabited Australian outback. A beam of energy lanced downward, carving a perfectly circular crater 50 kilometers in diameter. Elena pressed a button on her console, initiating humanity's response. Across Earth's surface and throughout near space, thousands of quantum observation points activated simultaneously. The Galarians didn't know it yet, but they had just walked into humanity's trap. High Commander Vexthor. Elena spoke, her voice calm and measured as it was broadcast to the Galarian fleet. The United Earth Defense Force acknowledges your message. We have prepared our response over the last 20 years, since we first detected your exploration vessels. We have one question before we proceed. Are you familiar with Schrödinger's cat? The question caught the alien commander off guard. His crystalline form flickered slightly, a sign of confusion that Earth's synapsychologists had documented years ago. Your primitive physics theories are irrelevant to this discussion, he declared, but Elena could hear the uncertainty in his harmonic tones. On the contrary, Elena replied, nodding to her technical team. It's entirely relevant. You see, we humans have a peculiar way of looking at problems. When we encounter a seemingly insurmountable obstacle, we don't just try to overcome it. We question the nature of the obstacle itself. Across the solar system, human quantum observation networks began their work. The Galarians' greatest advantage had always been their crystalline technology, which operated on principles of quantum coherence. It was elegant, advanced, and virtually unstoppable by conventional means. But it had one fundamental weakness. It relied on consistent quantum states. Your weapons are powered down, your shields are at maximum, and your sensors show no significant energy signatures from Earth, Elena continued. All of these facts are simultaneously true and false until observed. The question is, who's doing the observing? The first signs of genuine alarm appeared in Vexthor's transmission as status reports began flooding in from his fleet. Quantum coherence was failing across their entire battle group. Their superposition-based computing systems were collapsing not through any attack, but simply because humans had found a way to observe their quantum states in precisely the wrong way. What have you done? Vexthor demanded, his image flickering more severely now. "We've simply changed the way we look at things," Elena responded. "Your entire civilization is built on manipulating quantum states, but you never considered what would happen if someone found a way to manipulate the observation of those states. You're not just being watched, High Commander. You're being watched wrong." Across the Kilarian fleet, systems began to fail as quantum coherence collapsed under the weight of human observation networks. Their powerful weapons, their impenetrable shields, their faster-than-light drives, all relied on quantum principles that were now being fundamentally altered simply by being observed in ways their designers had never imagined possible. "This is your only warning," Elena concluded. "Withdraw your fleet, return to your empire, and spread the word. Earth is not a target for conquest or colonization. We are not primitives to be uplifted or resources to be harvested. We are humanity, and we don't just break the rules. We change the game entirely." The Kilarian fleet retreated in disarray, their mighty ships reduced to conventional physics by humanity's quantum observer effect weapon. As the last ships disappeared into deep space, Elena turned to her staff. "Send word to all stations. Operation Looking Glass was a success, and get me Dr. John from the Quantum Archaeology Division. I want to know if we can adapt this technology for exploration rather than defense." In the days that followed, Earth's quantum observation networks detected numerous Kilarian scout ships at the edge of the solar system, watching. But now they watched with caution, perhaps even fear. Humanity had announced its presence to the galaxy not with brute force or advanced technology, but by weaponizing the simple act of observation itself. The message was clear: underestimate humans at your own risk. Dr. Maya Jung stood in the heart of Facility Omega, 3 kilometers beneath the Mariana Trench, watching holographic displays of quantum field interactions dance across the curved walls. The facility had remained humanity's best-kept secret for the past 2 decades, its existence known only to a select few thousand individuals across the globe. "Director Santos will be joining us shortly," her AI assistant informed her. "She's particularly interested in the civilian applications we discussed." Maya nodded, her eyes never leaving the complex data streams that showed the aftermath of their quantum observation weapons' first deployment. The Kilarian fleet's retreat had confirmed 20 years of theoretical work, but it had also opened up possibilities that even she hadn't anticipated. The facility's main doors hummed open, admitting Elena Santos and her small security detail. Maya noticed the director looked more energized than exhausted, despite having just faced down an alien armada. "Dr. Zhang," Elena greeted her warmly. "I believe congratulations are in order. Operation Looking Glass exceeded our most optimistic projections." Maya turned from the displays, allowing herself a small smile. The Kilarians' dependence on quantum coherence made them particularly vulnerable to our approach. "But that's not why you're here, is it?" "Perceptive as always," Elena replied, moving to stand beside her at the central console. "Tell me about these civilian applications you've discovered." Maya gestured at the holographic displays, which shifted to show new datasets. "When we developed the Quantum Observation Network, we focused on its defensive capabilities, the ability to disrupt quantum-based technologies by forcing specific wave function collapses. But in doing so, we accidentally created something far more significant, a way to manipulate the fundamental nature of observation itself." The displays showed a series of experiments Maya's team had conducted in the hours since the Kilarian retreat. Simple objects, a cup, a book, a small plant, existed in multiple quantum states simultaneously, their very nature altered by controlled observation. "We're not just breaking quantum coherence anymore," Maya explained, her voice rising with excitement. "We're learning to control it. Imagine medical scanners that can observe cancer cells out of existence, or construction techniques that can observe raw materials into complex structures. We're not just defending against advanced technology. We're on the verge of revolutionizing how we interact with reality itself." Elena studied the displays intently. "And you believe this can be safely adapted for civilian use?" With proper controls and safeguards, yes. The same principles that let us disrupt Galarian technology could let us advance human civilization by centuries. Maya paused, considering her next words carefully. But there's something else you should know. She keyed in a new sequence, and the displays shifted to show data from the outer solar system. We're detecting quantum disturbances at the edge of our sensor range. The Galarians are attempting to develop countermeasures, trying to find ways to shield their quantum systems from our observation effect. Will they succeed? Elena asked, though her tone suggested she already knew the answer. Maya shook her head. They're approaching the problem from a purely technological perspective. They still haven't grasped that we didn't just develop a new weapon. We fundamentally changed how observation itself works within our sphere of influence. They're trying to shield against a weapon, but you can't shield against reality. The implications hung heavy in the room. Humanity hadn't just defended itself. It had taken its first steps toward becoming something entirely new. The quantum observation network wasn't just a defensive system. It was the beginning of humanity's ascension to a civilization that could manipulate the fundamental nature of reality itself. There's more, Maya continued, bringing up new data streams. Our deep space quantum sensors are detecting similar technology to the Galarians being used by other civilizations. The galaxy is full of quantum-based civilizations, all of them vulnerable to our observation effect. We're not just a species that can defend itself anymore. We're potentially the most disruptive force the galaxy has ever encountered. Elena absorbed this information in silence, her expression thoughtful. Then we need to move carefully. Prepare a detailed proposal for civilian applications. We'll establish an international oversight committee to manage the transition of this technology from military to civilian use. And Maya, she paused, meeting the scientist's eyes. We need to be ready for what comes next. The Galarians won't be the last advanced civilization to discover Earth, and the next ones will know we're not as primitive as we appear. Maya nodded, already calculating the adjustments needed to expand the quantum observation network. Humanity had just taken its first steps onto a much larger stage, armed not with superior firepower or advanced technology, but with the ability to change the very rules of reality. The question now wasn't whether they would become a galactic power, but what kind of power they would choose to be. The Galactic Council's emergency session was in chaos. Representatives from 17 quantum-based civilizations argued frantically as recordings of the Galarian defeat played on massive holographic displays. Ambassador Zixtal of the Galactic Empire stood before them, his crystalline form dulled with shame as he recounted their failed attempt to subjugate Earth. Meanwhile, on that very planet, Director Elena Santos and Dr. Maya John were watching the proceedings through their quantum observation network, which had evolved far beyond its original defensive purpose. The ability to observe had become the ability to witness, to be present without being detected, anywhere in the galaxy where quantum states existed. They're terrified, Maya noted, watching the alien representatives. Not just of what we did, but of what it means for their civilizations. Elena nodded. Fear makes them dangerous. The diplomatic corps estimates we have less than a standard month before they attempt a combined assault. They'll try to eliminate us before we can fully develop our technology. They're too late for that, Maya replied, entering commands into her console. The holographic display shifted, showing the vast network of quantum observation points now spread throughout the galaxy. Operation Checkmate is ready. The question is, are we prepared to use it? Elena studied the display, her expression grave. What they were about to attempt would forever change humanity's relationship with the galaxy. Begin the sequence, she ordered. Let's show them why diplomacy is a better option than war. Across the Galactic Council chamber, quantum-based systems began to flicker. At first, it was subtle. Minor glitches in translation software, slight disruptions in environmental controls. Then the effects escalated. Quantum computers began generating random outputs, shield generators reversed polarity, and weapon systems reported impossible readings. What's happening? demanded the Moravian Chancellor, their energy-based form fluctuating wildly. Ambassador Zixtal's crystalline form resonated with recognition. It's them. They're already here. They've been watching us the entire time. Elena's voice filled the chamber, though no transmission source could be detected. Distinguished representatives of the Galactic Council, we apologize for this demonstration, but we needed to make our position clear. As you can see, Earth's quantum observation technology now extends far beyond our solar system. The display behind her materialized, showing the true extent of humanity's reach. Quantum observation points have been established near every major world, every significant fleet, every crucial installation of the assembled civilizations. We've been watching, learning, and preparing, Elena continued. We know of the planned assault on Earth. We know of the weapons being prepared, the fleets being assembled. We're here to offer an alternative. Maya stepped forward, her own image appearing beside Elena's. What you've experienced is a minor demonstration. Your quantum-based technologies didn't fail. We simply observed them in ways that altered their function. We can maintain this effect indefinitely. Or, she paused, letting the implications sink in. We can share our understanding of quantum observation. The council chamber erupted in a mix of outrage and desperate interest. Elena raised her hand for silence. Earth does not seek dominion or conquest. We defend ourselves when threatened, but we prefer cooperation. We offer partnership in exploring this new understanding of quantum mechanics. Together, we could revolutionize technology across the galaxy. The Moravian Chancellor's energy form stabilized slightly. And if we refuse, then we will maintain our defensive posture, Elena replied calmly. Any aggressive action against Earth will result in the complete collapse of quantum coherence across your civilizations. We would regret such an outcome, but we will not hesitate to defend ourselves. Ambassador Zixtal moved to the center of the chamber. The Galactic Empire has already experienced the consequences of underestimating humanity. We support opening diplomatic relations. One by one, other representatives voiced their agreement. Fear of humanity's power was gradually being replaced by the realization of its potential. The quantum observation network that could disable their civilizations could also help advance them. Back on Earth, Elena and Maya watched as the Council began drafting the first interstellar cooperation treaty with humanity. It worked. Maya breathed, relief evident in her voice. Phase 1 worked. Elena corrected. Now comes the hard part, teaching quantum-based civilizations to think beyond their technological limitations, to see reality not as a fixed set of rules, but as a canvas of possibilities. The quantum observation network hummed quietly in the background, maintaining its vigilant watch over the galaxy. Humanity had avoided a war not through superior firepower, but through the strategic application of knowledge and the offer of shared progress. In the council chamber, representatives began discussing the formation of joint research teams. The galaxy was about to change, not through conquest or subjugation, but through the very human traits of innovation, cooperation, and the relentless pursuit of understanding. The age of quantum diplomacy had begun. The warning came from an unexpected source. A quantum fluctuation pattern that Dr. Maya Zhang had never seen before appeared in the observation network's data stream. She was analyzing it when Elena Santos burst into the laboratory, her usual composure replaced by urgent concern. The voidborn, Elena announced without preamble. They're coming. Maya's hands froze over her console. The voidborn were supposed to be a myth, a story used to frighten young quantum beings in the established galactic civilizations, a species that existed in the spaces between reality, immune to conventional physics, and, theoretically, to quantum observation. How reliable is the intelligence? Maya asked, already running simulations through the quantum network. Multiple sources, including the Galarians. The Voidborn see our quantum observation technology as a threat to their domain. They've never revealed themselves to the younger races before, but apparently we forced their hand. The main display lit up with new data as quantum sensors throughout the galaxy detected massive disturbances in subspace. The voidborn weren't trying to hide their approach. Dark spots appeared in the quantum field, places where reality itself seemed to thin and tear. How do we observe something that exists between states of reality? Maya muttered, more to herself than to Elena. The quantum observation network, humanity's greatest defense, might be useless against an enemy that didn't fully exist in normal spacetime. Elena's communicator chimed with priority messages from Earth's new alien allies. The Galactic Council was mobilizing, but fear colored every transmission. The voidborn were the bogeymen of their cultures, the thing that lurked in the quantum shadows of their technology. "We need options, Maya," Elena said quietly. "The Council is looking to us for leadership. We changed the rules once. Can we do it again?" Maya stared at the data streams, her mind racing. The quantum observation network was based on the principle that observation affects reality. But what if they could observe the absence of reality itself? "Get me access to every quantum physicist on Earth," she said suddenly, "and contact the Council. I need their theorists too, especially the Moravians. Their energy-based consciousness might give us insights we're missing." For the next 72 hours, the greatest minds of multiple civilizations worked in concert. The voidborn continued their approach, their non-existence creating growing dead zones in the quantum field. Traditional weapons would be useless. You couldn't shoot something that wasn't entirely there. Maya stood before the emergency session of Earth's Defense Council, her hologram simultaneously broadcasting to the Galactic Council. "We've been thinking about this wrong," she began. "We've been trying to observe something that exists between states of reality. Instead, we need to observe the space between our observations." The quantum displays behind her showed new configurations of the observation network. The voidborn exist in the gaps between quantum states, but those gaps themselves are a form of state. We're going to turn the entire network inside out. Instead of observing quantum states, we're going to observe the absence of quantum states. Elena leaned forward. "Will it work?" "Theoretically, yes. Practically," Maya shrugged. "We've never tried to observe nothing before, but the Moravians helped us understand how consciousness interfaces with quantum states. We're going to use that knowledge to detect where consciousness isn't." The plan was audacious, even by human standards. As the voidborn approached Earth, the quantum observation network underwent a fundamental transformation. Instead of measuring what was, it began measuring what wasn't. The effect was immediate and spectacular. The voidborn, invisible to normal spacetime, suddenly found themselves being observed in their own domain. Their non-existence became a form of existence that could be detected, measured, and affected. "By all the quantum states," breathed the Killarian ambassador as he watched the display. Where there had been nothing, there were now distinct patterns. The voidborn fleet, caught in the act of existing by not existing. Maya's modifications went further. The network didn't just observe the voidborn, it forced them to exist more fully in normal spacetime. Their advantage of partial existence became a vulnerability as they were dragged fully into reality. The voidborn's response was immediate. Their fleet, now fully manifested in normal spacetime, began to retreat. Messages flooded in, not in any known language, but in patterns of quantum fluctuation that the combined scientists of Earth and the Council were already working to decode. "They're requesting communication," Elena announced, reading the preliminary translations. "It seems we've earned their respect, or at least their attention." Maya watched the quantum displays, monitoring the network's new configuration. "We didn't just defend against them. We found a way to bridge the gap between states of reality. Do you realize what this means?" Elena nodded slowly. "We've opened up an entirely new frontier. The space between spaces, the gaps in reality itself." The voidborn fleet hung at the edge of the solar system, no longer a threat, but a potential source of knowledge about the fundamental nature of existence. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge yet, and emerged not just victorious, but with new understanding that would reshape their view of reality itself. "Send word to the Council," Alina ordered. "We need to establish protocols for communication with the voidborn." And Maya. She turned to the scientist. "Start thinking about how we can use this discovery for something other than defense. If we can observe and interact with the space between realities, the possibilities are endless." Maya finished, already losing herself in new calculations and theories. In the void between Earth and the stars, two forms of existence faced each other across the quantum divide, both changed by the encounter. Humanity had proven once again that their greatest strength wasn't technology or weapons, but their ability to question, adapt, and redefine the very nature of reality itself. The observation chamber in Facility Omega had been modified extensively over the past week. Where once it displayed quantum field interactions, it now showed something far more extraordinary: the first attempted communication with the voidborn. Dr. Maya Jung stood at her console, surrounded by a joint team of human and alien scientists. The Moravian quantum consciousness expert, a being of pure energy named Ix, floated nearby, their form rippling with excitement. Ambassador Zixtal of the Galactic Empire stood rigid, his crystalline form vibrating slightly with nervous energy. Director Elena Santos watched from the observation deck above, accompanied by representatives from the Galactic Council. The stakes couldn't be higher. This wasn't just first contact with a legendary species, it was humanity's first step into understanding the spaces between reality itself. "Beginning quantum void observation sequence," Maya announced. The chamber's displays shifted, showing the strange non-patterns of voidborn communication. They didn't use language as conventionally understood. Their messages existed in the gaps between quantum states, in the places where reality grew thin. "Fascinating," Ix pulsed, their energy forms synchronizing with the void patterns. "They don't communicate with information. They communicate with the absence of information. The spaces between thoughts are their words." Maya nodded, making adjustments to the observation network. "We're not trying to observe their message directly," she explained to the assembled observers. "We're observing everything around it and letting the void space speak for itself." The first clear response from the voidborn emerged not as words or images, but as a sensation of conscious awareness spreading through the quantum field. The beings that humans had forced into reality were reaching back, curious about the species that could observe nothingness itself. "They're asking how we learned to see the unseeable," Ix translated, their energy form fluctuating with excitement. "How we discovered the art of observing non-existence." Elena stepped forward. "Tell them it's what humans do. We don't just look at what's there. We look for what isn't there, and we ask why." The response came faster this time, a ripple of something like amusement through the quantum void. The voidborn, it seemed, had been watching humanity for longer than anyone had suspected. They had witnessed Earth's first detection of Galactic scouts, had observed humanity's development of quantum observation technology, had seen how humans had turned the simple act of observation into both a weapon and a tool for advancement. "They're offering an exchange," Maya said suddenly, her fingers flying over the console as she interpreted the void patterns. "Knowledge of the spaces between realities in exchange for understanding of how we perceive those spaces." Ambassador Zixtal's crystalline form chimed with alarm. "The voidborn have never shared their knowledge with any species. This is unprecedented." "Because no species has ever found a way to truly see them before," Elena replied. "We didn't just detect them. We found a way to understand their very nature. We treated their non-existence as a form of existence worthy of study." The chamber filled with new patterns as the voidborn began their first lesson. Through the quantum observation network, they showed humanity glimpses of reality that defied conventional physics. The spaces between spaces, the moments between moments, the thoughts between thoughts, a whole universe of possibility existing in the void. Maya worked frantically to record and analyze the data, her mind racing with the implications. "This changes everything," she breathed. "The void isn't empty, it's full of potential. The voidborn don't just exist between states of reality. They exist in a state of pure possibility." expulsed with understanding. They are teaching us to see reality not as what is, but as what could be. The spaces between quantum states aren't gaps. They're opportunities. Elena watched as human and alien scientists worked together to understand the voidborn's lessons. This was humanity's true strength on display. Not the ability to develop powerful technologies or overcome superior forces, but the capacity to question, to wonder, to look at the impossible and ask, why not? The voidborn's next transmission carried a warning. Other ancient species were watching, species that preferred the galaxy's younger civilizations to remain limited in their understanding. Humanity's quantum observation technology and their ability to perceive the void had drawn attention from powers that preferred the status quo. Let them come, Elena said firmly. We'll face whatever challenges emerge. But we won't stop exploring, won't stop questioning, won't stop pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Maya looked up from her console, her eyes shining with the excitement of new discovery. The voidborn aren't just teaching us about the nature of reality, she said. They're showing us how much more there is to discover. Every answer leads to new questions. Every solution opens new mysteries. In the quantum void between moments, the ancient consciousness of the voidborn resonated with something like approval. They had found in humanity a species that didn't just accept reality. They questioned it, challenged it, and reshaped it. The age of quantum observation was evolving into something far more profound, the age of infinite possibility.